All right. Looks like it's 3 after. We've got a crew. I understand your birthday is just around the corner, so happy early
Tomorrow.
birthday, Diane.
Yay!
There will be cake.
There'll be swimming, I know that, because I
That's
have
funny.
swim practice tomorrow, and I'm counting on John to give a birthday set. I have no idea what it is. He always throws something interesting my way.
That's fantastic. And
That's
you
right.
are 25?
Oh,
Big,
this is a good one.
yes, the big 7-0, actually.
Congratulations.
And I haven't finished being a kid yet, so I don't understand
Good.
how that happened. But anyway, it did.
Well, happy birthday tomorrow. Thank you so much for being our guest, Diane.
Oh, that's my birthday present.
Tell us your story.
Oh, my story. Oh my God. So I don't, so how many years do you have, guys? Um, I first off, I want to thank you for inviting me to do this because I have all these swim idols who are guests on your program, and I'm thinking, geez, I have I am a rookie compared to all of you. However, I think that the rookie's perspective might be useful to people. The thing about it is that this particular rookie never was I learned to swim as a kid, but here's a deep dark secret. I was terrified of deep water, and it took me God knows how long to get over that fear. And how it happened was that my family, we went to Fire Island every year for vacation, and my parents of course wanted us to learn to swim because you're in and near water all the time. It's safe, it's a matter of safety. But I was always afraid of going into deep water, and I resisted the effort of this swim instructor to push me in. But I was we took sailing lessons, and we had to take a 30-minute treading water test. And I finally somebody suggested putting on a life preserver and going into deep water, and I thought, well, that maybe I could do that. So I did that, and it wasn't too bad. And then I went, and I don't think I passed the test that particular day, but I went and started slowly acclimating myself to deep water. I would go into deep water for a moment and back out, and then a little bit longer and back out until I was swimming around and enjoying it. And I should tell you too, learning to swim in a bay really helped me later on when I was doing open water swims. Everybody is used to a pool, and and when my first open water mile was in conditions that I had learned how to swim, so it wasn't it wasn't as much of a surprise. I didn't have the same panic that others have had, but that's jumping ahead. Anyway, so gradually I was swimming in deep water, and then one day I was swimming near this dock where there was some boys hanging out, and they were yelling at me because this one kid had a cast on. He'd say, "You're getting the cast wet." And I mean, looking back, I think, well, why were you on the dock if you didn't want your cast to get wet? But back then I didn't think to ask that. One boy jumped in the water, pushed me down. I was really frightened. I was thinking he was going to drown me. I was terrified.
Yeah.
But somehow I got away. I don't know either. Maybe he let me go. Maybe I got away. I don't know. But after that, I was not. You would have thought that would scare me off for good, but no. I think I just, said, well, I'll just stay away from those boys because I was getting to like it. I was getting to like being in deep water. So now I prefer it. So then, I was swimming for exercise pretty much through my adult life. took up running. So swimming was kind of a, cross training for running when and especially when I was injured. So it wasn't my favorite. It was just, something I had to do to, stay active when I was training for running and couldn't run. But one day, I was, I had this running injury that was taking too long to heal, and I was missing some kind of the camaraderie of being in a sport, and swim and running races and running 5Ks. And so I saw this open water mile, and I thought, oh, maybe I could do that, and it would be at least a chance to be out with people and get a T-shirt and all those all those cool things that you do. And so I went and joined this race, and I had no idea what I was doing really, because I had never done an open water mile. But fortunately, as I said, that at least the setting was similar to what I had learned to swim. It was a bay, and I was it was off New Jersey, and so at least I knew that. But they said some of the others went out toward the start, so I followed them. And then I was almost to the start when they said, no, you have to go back to the shore. There's a meeting. Okay, go back to the shore, swim again. And I was like, they had the meeting, went back to the start. I was about 10 yards from the start when they blew the horn that signaled the start. And everybody flew off, and I was by myself. And what did I do? I'm crazy. Why did I do this? But I was thinking, well, I'm here, and they're going to, they're going to either kick me out for being too slow, or I'm going to finish. I'll just keep swimming until one or the other of those things happens. And I did finish, and I loved it. It was, gorgeous day. The day I did this, it was gorgeous, and it was beautiful out. It was warm, and the water was, the water felt good, and I didn't care actually. After a point, I was thinking, this is so much fun.
Where was it at?
I finished second to last. I didn't care.
Where was the swim at?
It was in Wildwood Crest. And it was on the bayside, and so the water was pretty calm. I've done that swim since, and it's been choppy sometimes, but that day it was pretty calm. And then I wanted to keep doing it, but the running injury came, healed, and I was back to running. And then a few years later, I see this notice of joining a master swim team at my Y. Oh, maybe I wonder how that would be. Maybe it would be more fun to do workouts with people instead of by myself. So but I thought, I was a little nervous because I thought that I don't have the kind of competition background that a lot of people have, who are joining masters teams. I did not compete in high school or college. I was not on a swim team anytime through my childhood. So so with a little bit of trepidation, I called the coach. I explained my background. I told him about the open water swim. He said, oh, come and join us. You'll be fine. And he was so enthusiastic and such a cool guy. I mean, he was 30 years younger than me and a friend of my nephew's. But he was excellent. I mean, he was wise beyond his years and very good coach. And I got to really, I was so enjoying these workouts that and he said, well, we're trying to get people to do this ocean mile. Oh my God, no, I don't do ocean miles. No, forget that. I'm not going to do that. I'm afraid of the ocean. Well, I did the ocean mile. And I was swimming out. I was terrified. I was, oh no, the waves were breaking all around me. I was thinking, I don't know what I'm doing here. What am I doing here? Why am I here? And this lady comes along on a surfboard and she says, you'll be okay. If you want to grab the surfboard, go ahead. At that point, as soon as she said that, I felt calmed down and I didn't have to touch the surfboard. I was just like, it was just her saying that helped me. So I finished that ocean mile and I was like, okay, that's cool. And I was telling people about it, and some, I was out at Fire Island, and I mentioned it to somebody. He said, oh, you should do the cross-space swim. And I said, oh, cross-space swim, what's that? He said, how long? I said, how long is it? 5 miles. Oh, no. That's too far. I'm not going to do that. That's way out of my reach. And let's see, 2 years later, I did the cross-space swim.
Nice. How old were you when you started with the first mile open water mile you did?
Well, let's see, that was 2002. I was 51 at the time. I turned 52 later in the year, but and then I think it was a few years later when I did when I joined that master's group.
Did the ocean mile. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could start open water swimming at 50. That's what I hear. In your 50s.
Exactly. Oh my God, you don't have to wait. You don't have to worry. Don't think, like I'll be 70 and I don't think of myself as too old to do this stuff.
Absolutely not.
I'm just, I figure as long as I have the health and am in shape for it, why not? And
absolutely. So we're back to the cross-based swim. So you're somewhere in your 50s doing your 5 miles. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And and that was so funny because like I was on the I during that swim I started getting seasick. I was really having fun for a while. I was like, this is such a cool swim. I'm really having and I'm on a roll. And the guy who was kayaking, he was very kind of low key and very laid back. And he said, oh, don't you want to drink something? Oh, no, I'm cool. This is good. And the story. Of course, I was getting seasick, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever done. What was I thinking? And but I got in. I finished this swim. I figured I wouldn't feel any better if I stopped. So I kept going, and I got an award for being the first and only female over 50. Since then, a lot of women over 50 have joined that swim, so I don't get awards anymore, but that's okay. So I thought, well, that's good. I did this swim once. That's cool. I'm good. I'm out of there. So a few years later, I did the swim again and couldn't find my kayaker and got salt mouth. And I thought, oh, okay, that's enough. But then a few years, then I was meanwhile still swimming and joining different. The guy who originally had the master's group went off to school for physical therapy, and he's still a buddy of mine. I still am in touch, but meanwhile I went to different master's groups until I found John's group, and in 2014 I first joined John's group, and by then I thought, oh, I want to do that base swim again. The last one didn't go so well, and I finished, but it was ugly. And I wanted to try it again just so that I could feel that I hadn't, I didn't want to leave that as my memory. So I joined John's group, and the first workout I did in his master's group, after being in this other group that was much easier and letting us do 50s on 2 minutes, suddenly I'm in this group with John's, and he's saying, we're doing these 25s and I'm hardly catching my breath. And he's like, go. And I'm killing myself. And toward the end, I didn't even last the whole workout. And meanwhile, I had already entered this 5-mile swim, and I had to tell John, oh my God, he's going to think I'm nuts. So no, he's like, if you did it before, you can do it again, but you'll have to work pretty hard. I said, sure. So he gives me his training program with the "you're kidding, right" workouts. And I think, okay, but this is what I have to do to be ready for this swim. And I come to the swim, and my cousin is my kayaker. He's wonderful. I do a lot better. I get seasick again.
Oh no.
But this time it doesn't, like I'm thinking, well, this will go away. This is just temporary. Some guy comes along from one of the race officials, comes up in his kayak. He says, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'll be fine." He said, "But are you okay now?" I said, "Whatever you need to know, whatever you need to hear to let me keep swimming." Yeah, I'm okay. So I finish, and I do it again the next year and do a PR.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Did you get seasick that next time?
No,
Okay.
no, and that was surprising because the last like half mile was really choppy, and I was being thrown back and forth. But it was okay. I mean, I finished, and I had a great kayaker again. I think I've never had a kayaker that I've not liked. Even in 2016, when I didn't finish, I still the kayaker was, well, it happens, and we weren't as much in sync, but it's okay. He and I are Facebook friends. It's cool.
So you've done this 5-mile swim across the bay several times, 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what made you think you might want to swim more than that?
Well, John and his and some buddies of his did this river swim that was 8 miles, and it was at the first time they had it. It was it was just an informal thing. Several friends got together and swam the 8 miles, and I thought, oh, I want to do that. And I was thinking, you idiot, you're gonna. And then I thought, but yeah, I want to try that. And so the next year they decided to hold it as an event. And so I thought, oh, maybe I could do that. Always this maybe I could do that always is the most dangerous. I wonder if I could do that. So of course I had to try it.
I love it.
And so I joined it the first time. It was 2015. And I was I was flush with the success of the Great South Bay Swim, where I did my best time. And I thought, oh, sure, I can do this. Well, around 7 miles, my left arm could not come out of the water. I was hurting so much.
Oh, no.
And and the kayaker noticed that I was swimming one-armed. I thought, well, so what? I have a one-arm drill. I learned how to do that. But she's saying, she said, you've gone further than you ever have. And I thought, okay, the preface to you should really drop out now. And I thought, I said, well, I really want to keep going. But I think after, I was really kind of coming apart, and I started trying backstroke. It wasn't working. I was feeling, it was okay. I think the handwriting's on the wall here. So accepted the ride back. I thought, well, at least I did 7 miles. So I did further than I ever did. So I was really grateful for that. Then the next year I thought, well, I'm going to finish this. This year it was a trial run. Next year I'm going to finish. And so 2016, that's the year I didn't finish the bay swim. So I was all the more motivated. I needed that success. I wouldn't needed to finish. And so I'm swimming along at one, the river, it's a partway upriver, partway downriver. And that year it was, it was it was a bit of both. Yeah, the one Bridget did, it was downriver and then upriver. But this was a different start in 2016. And I started like at, and it was downriver for about 2 miles and then upriver for 4 miles and then back downriver again. And downriver, that's cool. I finished, I was making good time. Upriver, now I love this kayaker. She was, she's a friend of mine, but this one point, she stopped me and she said, "You're not moving." Thanks very much, but that's not exactly what I.
Yeah.
Thanks. I don't need to hear that right now. And plus, I knew I was moving because I was looking at with swimming against a current. The only thing you can do is just kind of keep looking at these landmarks, and in a river it's easy to do that, like in a God love you folks who did the English Channel. I've got the Channel relay next year. I'll get into that later, but I'd see like a tree. I'll say, hey, I'll pass that tree. Oh, there's a house. I'm going to pass that house. I'm not going to worry about like the turnaround or anything like that. That's going to be like way down the road, And so with that, I was making progress, even though she wasn't seeing it. And finally got to the turnaround, and it was like home. Now we can go downriver. Thank you. It was still, I was feeling tired and everything, but it was like it was such a relief to not have to fight a current.
Yeah.
And so finally I get to near the end of the swim, and there's all the this particular start. There's a lot of weed. There was a lot of weed growth in the river, and it was a little challenging to kind of work your way through that. And John comes along and he says, he says, "You like poetry, and here's poetry I'm going to quote for you. The only way out is the way through."
Yeah.
And so I get to the finish. I'm so ecstatic seeing the finish that I have to break out in a little butterfly. So of course I don't.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 10 yards of butterfly, just because I'm so excited to be finishing. And and when at that particular finish, you reached up and touched a sign, and that was your finish. And, so I can do this. It's not, every time, like, oh my God, I did this. I did 8 miles. I can't believe it.
Right.
I have that feeling every time I do these swims. Oh my God, how did I do that?
How do you think you do it? What's the secret?
Just keep swimming.
There you go. Yep.
That's what, like, a friend of mine who is a marathon swimmer, he said that same swim that I was in with him, he had he wrote it on his arm, JKS, just keep swimming.
There you go.
And
how do you describe that feeling of completing a big swim like that?
A whole medley of feelings, like relief and joy and and gratitude, and how did I do that? Kind of this sense of wonder. Who is this person who did this?
Love it.
And after that first that first bender swim that I finished, John said to me when I got to the shore, he said, "What is it you need right now?" I said, "I need a beer." And I, hit the restroom first, and I'd come out, and John has a beer for me, and there's a little butterfly, flying around me near me, and that is so symbolic.
I love it. That's wonderful. A beer and a butterfly.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the swim that you're most proud of?
Oh
Was it
God,
that one?
yeah, that one. There's it's so hard to decide because there's the one that I did last year that John and I wanted to do the 8 bridges stage 6, and I looked at the price and I was, oh, it's a little expensive. And I mentioned it to John that I wanted to, and he said, I can set up a swim for you about that. I can set up a swim for you. And so he set up this swim around the Cape May Wildwood. And it was, there was a lot of ins and outs of this planning because, we had this one idea, but it didn't seem to, it didn't. So different things weren't working out, but some things were, finally he got this kayak from a friend of his, and he had, and it was the first time I just did an escorted swim, not a race.
Oh, okay.
So there were no buoys, there was nothing like that. Yeah, you just kept swimming. And it wasn't channel rules. I will be honest with you about that. I was touching the boat and things like this, but I just wanted to, see if I could do that distance,
What was the
double
distance?
digits. I wanted to do double digits.
What was the distance?
It was 11 miles.
11 miles.
We were kind of John had in mind maybe do the whole circumnavigation, which was about 15 miles, but around 10 miles. Again, I was totally turning into mush and and not being able to hold down my feeds and things like that. And I thought, well, I've got to 10 miles. I think this is probably going to be fine for now. But then John said, well, we're about a mile from a kayak launch. Can you make it for another mile? And or you can get in the kayak with me. And I thought, I don't think so, because not that I don't, not that he's not a deer and I'd be happy to, but I said, I want to land this. I don't want to be in the kayak. I don't want to take a ride. I want to finish at least that to that point. So it was every stroke was and somewhere along that last mile, I saw this cute little fish jumped out of the water, and I said, "Oh, that's okay." But it was interesting because we started out in an inlet, went through some serious chop, and I was like, "John, I'm gonna drown." He said, "Keep swimming, keep swimming." And okay, I can do this. Keep going, and we get into the ocean, and it's wonderful. That was the part I was most afraid of. I was saying, what if it's really choppy and because the ocean, I've done some ocean swims where it's kind of scary, but it was wonderful. It was very calm that day, and I was enjoying it so much. And at one point, John stops me. He was stopping me for feeds every 20 minutes. He's very, very meticulous about that. Not like that first kayaker who was a good guy, but John was like, you got to get that feed. But this time he stopped me and pointed to and said, "Take a look. There were dolphins all around me."
Oh my gosh. Wow.
was like, oh, this is immensely wonderful. And it gave me such a burst of energy. I was like, looked at a dolphin. I said, hey guys, nice day for a swim. Thanks for joining me. And I kept on going, and the dolphins eventually took off, but and we went around another rough inlet. That was where I was, really struggling. John let me hold on for a little bit. And so it wasn't, like I say, it wasn't an official thing, but it was just to see if I could do that distance.
Yeah.
And then when we got into the bay again, that was actually harder than the ocean.
Oh no.
Because although it was calmer, it was like there were so many things that you had to watch out for, boats and bridges and things like that, and sudden shallows, which, all of a sudden my hands hitting sand and things like that. So it was more challenging in some ways than the ocean, because the ocean was just steady, just keep swimming and you're, but the bay was like, you were hitting all kinds of things, islands, things like that. So eventually, though, like I said, we get to that 10-mile point, and I'm really turning into mush, like I said. And but I keep swimming. I get to the finally we finally get to this this landing point, and I thought, oh my God, I didn't even care about getting to 15 miles or full circumnavigation. I got double digits. I was like so excited about that. I mean, eventually this is all like one step after another. It's not like I have to be the perfect swimmer. I'm not an Olympian. It doesn't, I just like to swim. And I get eventually exhausted, but I just like to swim. And I figure I'll get to the, I'll just take these things in steps. This year with COVID, I've been very lucky because we've been able, John has had all these different events, and then we had the pool available. And then my Y opened. It was a lot of restrictions, but it was available. So I was able to do some training. I couldn't do the yardage in the pool that I was doing, like for the 8-milers and the 11-mile. But I was able to, what we did on Sundays, we had open water group swims. And that lasted 2 hours. And then what John would do is have me, accompany me in a kayak for another hour. And
great.
we'd practice swimming upriver and downriver. And, he was giving me a lot of good tips on, stroke and everything to get. And so I don't think I got the yardage that I normally do, but I was able to finish this 8-miler this year fast, 7 minutes faster than I did last time I finished it.
Congratulations. That's great. Were you working on technique or anything like that while you were swimming, maybe a little bit less yardage?
Yeah, well, that was something that I really, was trying to pay attention to. Anything that, I don't know if John thinks I was in fact listening, but I was trying to listen and trying to do the things that he said. And when I would swim by myself, sometimes I get intimidated. I was saying, "Oh my God, I'm starting," and I think, like, I would do these sets, and I would think, "Oh, I don't know if I can hold that pace." And then I thought, okay, skip worrying about holding the pace, work on technique, and inevitably I would do better when I wasn't thinking about speed. I was thinking about trying, and
That's been a big learning for me too, is like the harder I try to swim, I actually don't go any faster. So it's more important for me to try to swim like right or correctly.
Yeah, that's that, and it immensely helped me to know that, because I was like, I was able to last longer. I was able to keep my form better.
Mhm.
And I think that's what happened like this year for the 8 miler. I got to the upstream part and I started picking up my pace, because I knew that if, like, going downstream, I wasn't pushing it as hard, because I knew what was coming up.
Mhm.
And so I started pushing harder upstream, and some guy came along. He said, he had been escorting a 5K person, and that person finished. So he came along, and paddled along with me and my kayaker, and he said, "You're kicking butt."
That's uplifting comments like that always help, right?
Yeah.
How do you think you get through some of those tough situations? You've talked about seasickness and, being, scared. You said something about being afraid of drowning at one point. So how do you
Oh,
get through
yeah.
those kind of
Well,
really tough situations? How do you get through that?
I think that's a mix of prayer and the sense that, like, I think when I'm in the water, I sort of turn in. I think, it's like those instant courage, just add water sort of thing. I like to be in the water, and so there are some things that make me frightened, but then I think with with, especially, I cannot tell you how valuable it was to have John kind of
Yeah.
encourage and push. And like that time I was going through this really hard stretch, and he said, "Keep going." And um, this this one, like this one time I was at we were at the pool, and it was getting chilly, and it was cold out, and this pool was not heated. And I was standing there looking at the water. I had just done an open water swim, and I was thinking, "Oh man." And I was standing there looking out at the pool, and John comes along and said, "You won't get any warmer if you just stand there looking." Okay, okay, okay. No hot coffee. Let's go. Um, but I also feel like there's a wild woman in me, and she comes out when things happen like that. Like this one bay crossing where I had lost my kayaker and finally got back to him, and we were it was like I was cramping up, stomach cramping, not seasick, but this, just this crampy feeling. And I thought, and this one part of me was pissed off, said, "No, I need to finish this." And I kept going, and the kayaker said to me, like, he said, I didn't need to push you. You were head down for the last 2 miles. But that's, I want to finish.
You gotta
And
keep going. Yep. I think that's kind of the secret, right? Is just keep going.
yeah.
Just keep
And
swimming.
then this is one that I did this one, 2017. I had trained for this bay swim. I was feeling, great and doing all the right things and training and everything. And the last week before the swim, I started feeling sick, nauseous, stomach cramps. Even had to go to the ER because I was feeling so terrible. I thought, what happened? What's going on? And um, I, they told me it was a kidney stone.
Oh no.
And this is like the Tuesday. The swim is on a Friday, and I'm thinking, oh shit, I want to swim this. But I was like, also, so I said to the doctor, well, I'm entered in this swim. Is it gonna be, do you think I can do it? He said, if you've trained for it and if you just don't take any opioids, but take just Tylenol, you should be okay. You won't damage anything. That was enough for me. Okay, I'm going to swim this thing. And on that day, well, the day before, I stayed overnight on Fire Island with the kayaker. She invited me to stay at her house, and the crossing the bay on the ferry that afternoon, it was choppy, and the sky was gray, and I did see a little bit of peak of sun. I thought, okay, good, this is a good sign. But I was a little worried because the forecast didn't look too promising. But then I thought to myself, well, that's okay. No matter what happens, it's going to be fine. Whether I go and get to swim, or I get to spend this wonderful weekend on Fire Island, a place I love, it doesn't matter. I will be okay either way. So they said, okay, the swim will be held. There's no lightning in the forecast, so they held the swim. It was raining, windy, choppy, all the conditions that I was afraid of when I thought, like, one day I went to just cheer people on, or to say hello afterward to the after party, and they were talking about what a washing machine it was. And I thought, boy, am I glad I didn't swim that one this year. And then I was swimming that same washing machine.
Yeah.
And I was loving it.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
It's like, oh, this is fun. How did I? And because I didn't care if I was pulled out or not. I said, if I finish, that's great. If I don't, I get a nice swim with, and have a roller coaster. And I didn't get seasick. I did not get seasick. I learned that if like ginger, I would use ginger in a stir fry every, like for a couple of weeks or so before the swim. And of course I was feeding better. I didn't make that I do not make that rookie mistake anymore.
That's a good one. That's a good, important lesson, though. Unfortunately,
Yes.
we all have to learn it, sometimes the hard way.
Yes.
So what advice would you give for an aspiring marathon swimmer?
Geez, I am an aspiring marathon swimmer. So
you're doing it.
Have fun and just keep swimming. I think that's one of the things that with that bay swim, I was aware that I might have to be pulled. The year before I had to be pulled, and I was really frustrated and down on myself. But after that, like, I was like, okay, some swims I might have to be pulled. I don't think that any swim I've done is a failure if I don't see it that way. I mean, it's like even later on, the one where I had to not finish, the kayaker told me later, he said, I think I had you on my Garmin at 6 miles. I said, great. I had a training swim for the 8 miler.
Perfect.
So, yeah. There was no sense that, I'm, like I am, I decided with swimming, I love it too much to think of myself as a failure, or to think of any swim as a failure. It's just all learning.
I love it. That's great. And what marathon swimmer has inspired you?
Well, of course, my coach, because John is an experienced marathon swimmer and has taught me a lot.
Yeah.
But also, pretty much on all of you guys. I mean, God, I love you all. I listen to these podcasts and get so many tips and suggestions and ideas, and like, I'm looking at, like, I see Carolyn here, who has done 2 laps of Lake George. I think of Jamie, who's done, like, a zillion laps around Manhattan.
Mhm.
I think of, Sarah Thomas, who's, those four laps across the English Channel. My God, I'm going to be doing a relay next year, and I'm thinking, I hope I can swim in the dark. I hope I can do, and these folks are like, they set these the bar high, and I think, well, I can raise my bar, because I see these people who are, reaching past what they thought they could do. And so why not, I mean, I might not get to, I might not get to the distances that you all get to, but I'm like, I, I never imagined when I was a kid, afraid of deep water, that I would swim across a bay. I think when I swam across the bay, I was thinking, well, I wonder if I could swim longer.
Mhm.
And then I think, gee, I wonder if I could. And every time I think, I wonder if I could do that. And oh, yes, Janine, I see. Janine talked me into doing the Spite and Dive Bowl. I was like always thinking, oh, that I can't make that time limit. That's what, 3 hours, and I'm not a 3-hour 10K swimmer. And how can I possibly make that time limit? So finally I do it. Thank you, Janine.
Yay.
Because I was like, everybody's like, you should do it. You should do it. Okay, I'll do it. So it was such a fun swim. I was so glad I did it,
That's so
because
cool.
it was like, it was the easiest ever 10K, because you're going with the river. So I was, I did like 2 hours and 8 minutes, which I was even in the back of the pack doing that. But I was
Oh,
just,
that's fun.
I would look up every once in a while. I was swimming, and this is so beautiful. I saw the sailboat going by. I had to stop and look at it. I was, yeah, I was having a gorgeous time. So,
Love it. That's awesome. Um, Thank you so much for being our guest and sharing your story, Diane.
oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for for all of the inspiration you've given me.
If you want to come off mute and wish Diane happy birthday, now's your chance.
Happy birthday, Diane.
Happy birthday, Diane.
Happy birthday.
And we're all swimming tomorrow and eating cake, right?
Yes, let's do it.
Who knows? I don't know what set he'll give me. It's like I think it's an hour and 15-minute practice, so 8K probably isn't gonna happen, but I'm gonna have fun.
Sounds
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Okay.
All right, Diane, have a great birthday. Thanks for being an inspiration to, I know myself, I hope I'm still swimming when I'm 70.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you will be.
All right, you
Thanks,
guys have a
all.
great day. Bye.
Thanks to everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.